few days before she went to Logan Killick's and his 60 acres of land, Janie asked herself, did marriage end the cosmic loneliness of the unmated? Did marriage compel love like the sun of the day? Janie was back and forth to the pear tree, continuously wondering and thinking. Finally, out of Nanny's talks and her own conjectures, she comforted herself.
Maybe I will love Logan after we get married. Nanny always told me that husbands and wives loved each other. That's what marriage means. It means I won't have to be lonely no more.
Not only did she get married to be happy, she also did this partly due to her nanny.
I've done the best I can by you. I raked and scraped and bought this little piece of land just so you wouldn't have to stay in the white folks' yard. I don't want your feathers always crumbled by folks throwing up things in your face. And I can't die easy thinking maybe the men folks, white or black, is making a spit cup out of you. Have some sympathy for me. Put me down easy, Janie. I'm a cracked plate.
Janie had no other choice than to suppress her doubt and hesitance towards the marriage that Nanny arranged and supported with all her heart. And so, on this glorious day, in hopes of fulfilling Nanny's wishes, Janie Mae Crawford would become Janie Mae Killicks.
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to witness the union of Logan Killicks and Janie Mae Crawford in holy matrimony. And if anybody don't want him to be married, speak now or forever hold y'all peace. Now repeat after me. I, Logan, take thee Janie Mae Crawford, to be my lawfully wedded wife, do I promise to be true to you in the good and bad. Y'all have declared your consent before the church and the Lord. May he bless you and strengthen your consent and give you both his blessings. Amen.
Amen.
The house was absent of flavor, but as much as Janie resisted her marriage, she was ready to love. She was ready for love to begin.
Lord of mercy, I sure is glad to see my child. Go on, tell Miss Washburn you's here. Oh, by the way, how's that husband of yours?
Janie didn't go in where Mrs. Washburn was. She didn't say anything to match up with Nanny's gladness either. She just fell on a chair with her hips and sat there. Between the biscuits and her beaming pride, Nanny didn't notice for a minute. But after a while, she found the conversation getting lonesome, so she looked up at Janie.
What's the matter, sugar? You ain't looking too spry this morning.
No, nothing much, Nanny.
Don't tell me you got knocked up already. Let's see. This Saturday, 2 months and 2 weeks.
No, I don't think so anyhow.
You got nothing to be ashamed of, honey. You's a married woman. You got your lawful husband just like Miss Washburn or anybody else.
But, Nanny, I wants to want him sometimes. I don't want him to do all the wanting.
Here you is, with the onlyest organ in town, amongst colored folks, in your parlor. Got a big house, bought and paid for, and 60 acres of land on the big road. That's the problem all us black women gets hung on, this love. That's what's just got us a pullin', a haulin', a sweatin', and doing from can't see in the morning till can't see at night. That's how come the old folks say that being a fool don't kill nobody, it just makes you sweat.
And so Janie continued with her life. All was going well until a month later, when tragedy struck.
Lord, you know my heart. I done the best I could. The rest is left to you.
And so Janie waited a bloom time, and a green time, and an orange time. But when the pollen again gilded the sun and sifted down on the world, she began to stand around the gate and expect things. What things? She didn't know exactly. The familiar people and things had failed her, so she hung over the gate and looked up the road towards way off. She knew now that marriage did not make. Janie's first dream was dead, so she became a woman. When Janie finished indoors, she sat down in the barn with the potatoes. But springtime reached her in there, so she moved everything to a place in the yard where she could see the road. She had been there a long time when she heard whistling coming down the road. There was a citified, stylish dressed man with his hat set at an angle that didn't belong in these parts. His coat was over his arm, but he didn't need it to represent his clothes. Joe Starks was the name. Had been working for white folks all his life. Saved up some money, around $300. Yes, indeed, right here in his pocket. He kept hearing about them building a new state down here in Florida and sort of wanted to come.
Hey, who's looking after a little child like you?
I'm married.
Wait, you married? You ain't hardly old enough to be weaned. I bet you still like some sugar fits, don't ya?
Yeah, and I makes and eats on when the notion is ready. Drink sweetened water too.
Hey, I live that myself. I expect it never gets too old for me to enjoy some syrup sweetened water when it's cool and nice.
Us got plenty of syrup in the barn, if you so desires.
Where your husband at, monsieur?
My name is Janie Mae Kelly since I got married. Used to be Janie Mae Crawford. My husband left to buy a mule for me to plow.
A plow? You ain't got no more business with a plow than a hot dog with a holiday. You ain't got no business cutting up sweet potatoes neither. A pretty doll baby like you is made to sit on the front porch and rock and fan yourself and eat potatoes that other folks make for you.
Janie laughed and drew 2 quarts of syrup from the barrel, and Joe Starks pumped the water bucket full of cool water. They sat under the tree and talked. Every day after, they managed to meet in the scrub oaks across the road and talk about when he would be a big ruler of things with her reaping the benefits. They even talked about marriage, which got Janie all sposen. Later that night,
Logan, you still asleep?
If I was, you'd be done woke me up and calling me.
I was thinking real hard about us, about you and me.
It's about time, I guess.
Suppose if I was to run off and leave you sometime.
the thought put a terrible ache in Logan's body, but he thought it best to be put on scorn.
Getting tired, Janie. Don't talk to me no more.
He flopped over resentful in his agony and pretended to sleep. He hoped that he had hurt her as much as she had hurt him. Janie got up the next morning and had the breakfast halfway done when he bellowed from the barn.
Janie, come help me move this manure pile before the sun gets hot. You don't take a bit of interest in this place. There's no use in fooling around that kitchen all day long.
Logan, you don't need my help out there. You's in your place and I'm in mine.
Janie, you ain't got no particular place. If whenever I need you, get a move on you and that quick. And don't you change too many words with me like this morning, Janie. Do it now, take and change and with you.
The morning road was like a new dress that made her feel the apron tied around her waist. She untied it and flung it on a low bush beside the road and walked on, picking flowers and making a bouquet. After that, Joe Starks was waiting for her with a hired rig. He was very solemn and helped her to the seat beside him. With him on it, it sat like some high, ruling chair. From now on until death, she was going to have flower dust and springtime sprinkled over everything. A bee for her bloom. Her old thoughts were going to come in handy now, but new words would have to be made and said to fit 'em. Green Cove Springs, he told the driver. So they were married there before sundown, just like Joe had said, with new clothes of silk and wool.
Old too, I forgot my line.
This is actually hilarious.